Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of The Men Are Talking. This week, we discuss our favorite movie genres, and things go about as smooth as you'd expect. So sit back and enjoy this week's episode of The Men Are Talking. All right, everybody. Welcome to another week of The Men Are Talking. We are joined today by the usual crew, being myself, Larry, Bill.
Hi.
Paul.
Hello.
And Ferg is back with us.
Hey, everybody.
And unfortunately, UPC has passed away. Oddly enough, this time we discovered through the obituary that his name was Cletus. Yeah, did not see that coming. He did not act like a Cletus.
No.
But
And not Cletus, but Cletus.
right, correct.
Just making sure.
Yes, but
Because Don Henley will sue your butt off for stealing anything.
he didn't make the word up.
Well, I didn't say he did. He's as litigious as they come.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Bite me.
Hotel California. There you go. I said it.
I said it. It is a hotel in California.
Are you talking about that really good Gypsy King song?
And I'm going to go a little further. Boys of Summer.
Ooh.
That's right. That's right, Don Henley. You heard me.
He's Catholic.
Don Henley's nothing without Mike Campbell.
So joining tonight is the new UPC. As you will discover when he starts speaking and introduces himself.
Which will happen
Now. That
It just happened.
We again hired him because he sounds the same as the former UPCs.
You guys are great casting directors.
It's uncanny.
Hey, we are trying to keep consistency.
Love it. Love it.
That's what we want. So tonight's topic is, what is your favorite movie genre? This is going to probably get a little deep. We're probably going to hear some favorite movies. We're going to hear why we like these genres. Yeah. So let's just get straight to it. We're going to start with Bill, and we're going to finish with Ferg. Just because he's Ferg, and he's sitting furthest away from me. So
That's on purpose, by the way.
Yeah.
It is. Someone's got to hand us our beers.
Yeah. The new guy.
You lucky listeners can't smell it.
But Heidi Interrupts will not be seen tonight because she interrupted too early, and she actually has a job, Larry. And so she has to be there in the morning.
You think making this just happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
This magic doesn't come from
So,
nowhere.
favorite movie genres for those of you young folk. Genre is a type of movie. Yes.
Not to interrupt, but
Go ahead.
Not to be racist,
No.
but
in honor of Heidi Interrupts, since she has gone to bed, she did come out before we started to say that her favorite genre is RomCom, and we all laughed at her. And,
Actually, we all groaned at her.
we did. We all groaned at her, and then she went away.
yeah,
So
because the men are talking.
Dollars to Donuts, that is not going to be a genre mentioned from this point forward.
It'll be mentioned, but way down the list.
And not in a good way.
Not honorably.
There are a few. There are some, and if you're married in a relationship, they have their place, and usually in the trash. But sometimes you do what you have to do.
You outsource the foreplay.
Bill's the sensitive one of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
He's been married the longest.
since
Yeah.
we're talking about
He's under the most scrutiny.
Since we're talking about romantic comedies, I will tell you a small story that Heidi was going to share, and I don't think we shared this. Sorry, I'm a little verklempt.
Did the second one drop?
Congratulations.
Years ago,
Tom, you're a
and
man now.
I'm kind of glad she's not here because she tells the story wrong. But we were sitting around with several of her friends and me, and they were talking about their favorite line from movies all time. And I don't remember the other 2 or 3 girls' answers. Heidi's was from The English Patient, some BS about why don't you love me, and he said I've always loved you, and whatever. And we were talking about the greatest romantic lines is what we were talking about. And when it got to me, I said, where Spock puts his hand up on the glass, and in the Wrath of Khan, right? Wrath of Khan?
Yes.
And Kirk is on the other side of the glass, and he said, Spock said, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And I think what he say, I'll say it wrong, you are and will always be my friend. And they were like, we said romantic, and I was like, how much more romance can you get than that line from that movie? So that was her, me juxtaposing for her.
I can answer, not to spoil what mine's going to be, but the correct answer was, I know. the greatest romantic line ever.
Absolutely.
Can I throw one out? 'Cause
Sure, why not?
It's usually overlooked, but in The Godfather, as Clemenza is getting in the car with 2 other fellas to go look for mattresses and warehouses to stay because there's a war on, his wife, who's happily in love and plump, just like Clemenza, says, "Hey, don't forget the cannoli." And she kind of blows him a kiss and gets in the car, and they drive away, and they go around town, and then eventually Clemenza has to use the facilities, and there aren't any, so they pull over to the side of the road, and he gets out to relieve himself. The guy in the back seat shoots Paulie in the back of the head 3 times because, well, Paulie betrayed the Don. And so when the assassin gets out of the car, Clemenza comes back over and he says, "Leave the gun, take the cannoli." Nothing says love like making sure you bring home what your wife wants after you assassinate someone.
Yeah.
All right, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, when we chose this topic, and I was like, genres, there's no way we're gonna fill an hour and a half. We haven't even gotten to the topic, but I gotta tell you, on the day of my daughter's wedding, Larry wasn't originally invited because he offended my daughter many years ago, and
I did not. I told Bill a joke that he decided to tell his daughter,
And,
which then offended his daughter.
but she blamed Larry, and
By the transitive method,
Yeah.
I got blamed.
before the wedding, which was a New Year's Eve a year ago, I was standing out on the sidewalk in front of the venue, pacing like the nervous father. And Larry comes walking up. His wife later said, "Hey, he dressed himself." But Larry came walking up and he said, "Bill, can I ask you a favor?" And I blew it. I go, "Yeah, what do you need, man?" And I did not say, "You can ask me one favor on this, the day of my daughter's wedding." I blew it. I ruined it. I ruined it. Yeah. Anywho,
I'd been planning
That
that. I'd been planning that since the moment
he got
your daughter
save the
told
date.
me. No, because
She
we were at the
personally
bar
invited.
when she told me that I was invited, and from that day I had that planned.
Okay.
And you destroyed it.
So, my favorite genre of movies all time is sci-fi. Always has, always will be. Can't wait till either tonight or tomorrow night and I know it's not a movie, but it may as well be, to watch the final episode of Picard. I am
Amen.
so looking forward to that. If you haven't watched it, you don't talk to me. Go watch it. It's worth it. It's amazing. But I love sci-fi. And, I know we said genre, not movies. My favorite sci-fi movie of all time is the original Dune. And if you ever walk up to me and go, "Oh, you mean that movie with Sting?" I will punch you. He's in it for 5 minutes. He's not why the movie's great. David Lynch. Everybody, Patrick Stewart's in it. It's a great movie. And then the second all-time greatest sci-fi movie ever, in my humble opinion, is Fifth Element. And I own the Lilu and Corbin Dallas multi-pass that I picked up at a con.
That is impressive.
It is, yeah, and I'm excited to have those. But yeah, sci-fi has far and away been my favorite, followed closely by comedy. And the greatest comedy ever written was The Jerk. My wife and I still repeat the lines from Steve Martin and Bernadette Peters 36 years later. I know it seems like 42 years. I've got it written down. And then followed by that would be suspense, thriller, the Kenneth Branagh movies the last couple of years.
The Agatha Christie?
Yeah, followed by, I think this is where, they're sports movies. Forgot about that, crap. Then...
Way to do all the homework, Bill.
Then I did. I actually thought about this week when I wasn't really working. And then rom-coms, Four Christmases, You've Got Mail. There are some good ones out there. And my least favorite, really, is horror slasher. Am I allowed to? I'm a pussy.
Yeah.
All right. I have bad nightmares if I watch movies like Event Horizon and other
movie.
things like that. So that's more of a thriller than
sci-fi.
It's sci-fi thriller, not horror. But horror films and Texas Chainsaw, that kind of crap. Just not me.
What is Alien then? Is that
Alien is
sci-fi?
Or
horror?
At its base, Alien is a thriller.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
It is Hitchcockian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a thriller sci-fi horror film.
It's
But in that order.
Yes, exactly.
It's a thriller horror film set in space.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
the sci-fi part comes in with
there's spaceships.
there you go. And it's it's in space. There you go. And but also there's
also a cat.
There is a cat. Don't mess with that cat. But it's the alien being, right? You have this ultimate machine, and it bleeds acid.
But for most of the movie, the alien itself is the MacGuffin.
I'm gonna go next. My favorite is also sci-fi. Ever since I was a young child and went to the movie theater and watched the original Star Wars, I was hooked. It was, growing up, Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers, Star Trek, basically anything science fiction I could get my hands on, I was all about it.
Aaron Gray.
Yeah, well,
Oh, definitely.
she didn't hurt. Actually, got to meet her at a con.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very nice. Actually, she was extremely cool. My second would be fantasy. I love fantasy movies. Everything from My Python, the Holy Grail.
That's fantasy?
It is.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
100%. It's fantasy comedy. It's perfection.
It's fantasy satire.
It's perfection. But
It's but
Legend.
a flesh wound.
Oh, Mia Sarah.
Lady Hawk, Excalibur, all of them. I mean, I love it. And then
I thought those were documentaries.
Jim Cotta.
No, not Jim Cotta.
No Jim Cotta?
No, the only thing good about Jim Cotta was we got the episode of Family Guy where Stewie learned Jim Cotta. that is it. Next would be comedy. I love comedies. I like to laugh. In case you guys can't tell. So I love a movie that can make me laugh. And then my one that I have to watch by myself because my wife is not interested at all. No.
We all have to watch that by ourselves.
Gangster movies. I love gangster movies. Goodfellas, Godfather, all of them. Love gangster movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a special place in my heart for Martin Scorsese. Basically, they go, "Hey, Martin Scorsese's doing a new movie." I go, "When's it coming out?"
There you go.
I'm in. And honorable mention, I do love superhero movies. I do.
You're permitted.
I can remember in 1989 sitting in the movie theater watching Michael Keaton as Batman, which I was totally against because Michael Keaton cannot play Batman, and he walks up and holds the guy off the ledge and looks him in the face and says, "I am Batman." And I stood up out of my seat and said, "Yes, you are." And
outstanding.
That was it. Yeah, UPC.
Question for you. Is there a difference between superhero and fantasy? I put them together in one genre.
I can see why, and I can also kind of agree. I do think fantasy more. Just so everyone knows, I'm a huge nerd, and I do play Dungeons and Dragons every week. So I see fantasy more in a Dungeons and Dragons light than I do.
And I believe you can say D&D. Most people will know.
Yeah.
Well, and I will from
It's like
now
us,
on.
But again, we're all nerds.
But
so.
it's like good writing. You know, you say it out, and then you can use
the abbreviation.
right. So from here on out, we'll say
it's
D&D.
MLA style.
Yeah, yeah.
We're good.
Well, almost like
I prefer
fantasy is, the ones that you mentioned, and superhero movies are graphic novels, comic books,
Yes.
book heroes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
There's some demarcations, but yeah.
Yes. But yeah, so that's mine.
Very nice.
We're gonna let UPC go next.
Oh.
Mostly because we know Dr. Paul is going to drone a bit.
Yeah.
You think?
So this was really easy for me. Obviously, it's comedy. 95% of the content, whether it's shows or films, is comedy for me. But then I thought about it, blackface is canceled.
Yep.
But you know what hasn't been explicitly canceled?
What's that?
Charlie Chan films. Yellowface.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
but-
true.
Okay, but they could be. They're slightly different, but
It's kind of a penny stock at this
Okay,
point, right?
okay,
Like
sure,
get it buy low.
sure.
And what are the odds they're going to cancel Charlie Chan? Well, after
It's already been canceled.
I turn the world under
When was the last time
60
you
onto
saw
a Charlie Chan.
Chan movie?
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's already been
yeah,
canceled.
but
seriously,
they did that 20, 30 years ago.
The problem is with comedy.
40
And
years ago.
I had some conversations with some coworkers in the past few months, and they want to make small talk and say, "Oh, what kind of movies do you watch?" And say almost exclusively comedy, and they will then give me some banal thing like American Pie 3. Have you seen that? It's so funny. I'm like, that's not comedy. That's dick and fart jokes. It's not.
So
then-
you differentiate between comedy and dick and fart jokes.
Yes. Yeah, because those aren't funny.
Well, that's pretty much my whole repertoire.
Yeah.
So you're not a Terrence and Phillip fan.
No. So really, when I was thinking about it earlier,
Sorry,
today, I said,
Canada.
you know what? Here's the deal.
One listener.
Dark comedy. Dark comedy. Movies like American Psycho,
Yeah.
Doctor Strangelove,
Yeah.
Lolita,
Yeah.
Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Duck Soup, anything by Tarantino is inherently a dark comedy.
Not necessarily funny.
Oh, I think they're hilarious.
About
Schindler's List.
Oh, I am so glad that you said that because it was right on the tip of my tongue, and I was like, "Hey, we'll be right there, Joe."
75% of Blue Velvet is
Last Tango in Paris. Of course, anything by Woody Allen. Woody Allen is very, very high on my list of auteur director writers, and all of that sense of humor, that kind of intellectual, witty. It's kind of a modern. Why am I blanking on his name? The British guy. His last words were either "that wallpaper goes" or "I do." Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, okay.
Oscar Wilde.
Gotcha.
It's an Oscar Wilde kind of
Thought he was Irish.
Renaissance sort of thing.
I thought he was too.
I thought what?
Thought Oscar Wilde was Irish.
Well, that was back when Irish was part of the realm, I believe.
Oh, so now we're getting into
Sorry.
fantasy.
It's period comedy, period comedy.
That's fantastic.
Oh, period comedy falls under fart and dick jokes.
But anyway,
I can bring it into
yeah,
Cleve
so
Sisters.
yeah, dark comedy is to me the best. It's very intellectual. It's humorous, but it's not lowbrow. It doesn't pander.
I agree.
And it's not accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and I do love
You
dark
can't just
comedy.
be a wimp and appreciate dark comedy.
Yeah.
You gotta have some kind of chutzpah.
No, I agree. I love dark comedy. Yeah, because...
And then after that, like, I don't really have a second... There's nothing really after that. It's just individually great films I like for their own merits. I think Werner Herzog movies are a genre unto themselves, and I love everything Werner Herzog has ever done.
Name one because I'm drawing a blank right now.
My Best Fiend, Klaus Kinski,
Oh, God.
is probably the best one.
Oh, wow.
A more modern one would be Grizzly Man, or Bad Lieutenant 2, Port of Call, New Orleans, or Wojciech Strodzak.
So
Those posters were all over...
Last
Last time I was in Amsterdam...
foreign films as your...
No, these are
Hey, last time I was in Amsterdam,
Yeah.
posters everywhere for
Bad Lieutenant 2, colon, Port of Call, colon, New Orleans.
Yes. Yes. Everywhere.
Which has nothing to do with the original Harvey Keitel vehicle
No.
in any way.
No.
It's just...
And
yeah. And the first
Wow.
one, Bad Lieutenant, is great.
Wow.
That's a great
yeah,
movie.
but
question.
wow.
Oh, Monty Python.
Yeah.
They are dark comedy, especially
Oh, yeah.
Meaning of Life, which is my favorite
Oh.
Monty Python film of
Yes.
all time, is Meaning of Life. And it is just so,
Oh,
just dark.
anything Monty Python
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Anything.
So, question for you: would you put Peter Sellers' Pink Panther in the realm of comedy or in the realm of dick and fart jokes?
It's in the realm of comedy, but it's a little more, it's definitely got slapstick.
Yeah, it's definitely
Okay. It's
physical.
slapstick,
comedy.
physical comedy. Okay.
And some of the Peter Sellers stuff, I think The Party is edging a little more towards dark comedy. Even though it's still kind of chaotic, slapstick, situational, but it gets a little darker. But yeah, the Pink Panther, yeah, I don't know about that.
Do you have a least favorite genre? I think I
Oh.
know what it is.
It's definitely anything involving things that violate the rules of physics. So fantasy, what I call fi-sci, where it's claims to be science fiction, but involves things that are clearly violating all the laws of physics to make it happen. Anything involving spirits, ghosts, superstitious stuff.
I really thought you were going to
Any of
say, and maybe you would put this in the same genre for you, would be superhero movies.
Well, that's
what I-
fantasy to me.
Yeah,
That's all
I got
fantasy.
you. Okay.
Yeah, because I don't read comic books. So I never.
And yet we're all still friends.
But so let me ask you a question. You say like it doesn't, when it breaks the laws of physics. Well, I mean, like Star Trek with their teleporters or anything, they have a throwaway line with like the Heisenberg
Uncertainty principle.
right, but the Heisenberg
I think, I'm
regulator
not sure.
or whatever.
Well, that's the improbability drive of.
Yeah. Galaxy Quest.
No.
Oh.
The Hitchhiker's
Yeah,
Guide.
yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean, like,
I think that does a more cheeky, like
but I mean,
abstract
so-
philosophical.
But if they throw in a
implementation
line
of
like that
principle.
explains why they're able to do something, but if you're just like, okay,
It's a Heisenberg compensator.
compensator, that's what
Right.
it is. Thank
So,
you.
Star Trek, a guy by the name of Michael Okuda, who is a physicist and NASA space scientist. I don't know his
Right.
particular. He's not on the engineering side. He's not like a string theory guy that just sits around and does math on a chalkboard. This guy wrote several books for the Star Trek compendium, and they weren't stories. These were like technical reference books.
Right.
And he had the Star Trek technical reference manual. He had one for the old original series Enterprise ship, and then he had the next generation level of stuff. And he completely gives plausible explanations of how you project current knowledge and technology into the future, 400 years approximately, based on what we know now. But the thing is, it doesn't involve things that we know to be false now. That's the key.
Well,
You're not bringing in things that are just completely implausible or impossible.
I would 2 points.
And
One,
I just can't. I can't.
I
watch
would
it.
I would
Have that.
disagree to a point on that, because what we believe now, what we teach now or taught now, is that you can't go faster than the speed of light, and pretty much, not counting spice, but pretty much the way that people get around the universe is by going faster than the speed of light, whether it's warp speed or whatever they call it. There's that. And of course, anytime you bring in time travel, you're just breaking all kinds of rules and laws.
Yeah,
Here's
not a
my
fan of
take
time
on it is this. If you're watching a movie, and in the movie or show, they have set certain physics parameters, and they say, in this universe, this is reasonable, acceptable, and they stay within the parameters they built for that show, then you're fine. It's when they step outside their own parameters, and I remember watching
inconsistent.
watching
just
an
kills it.
episode of Star Trek one time, and something happened. I won't get into it. And I'm standing there looking at the TV, and my wife was there, and I said, seriously, really, like, that's going to happen? And she looks at me, she goes, wait a second. She goes, let me get this. She goes, up till this point, you're okay with everything. They're traveling at the speed of light, going where no man has ever gone before. And I was like, yeah, because they were doing what they put as parameters. The second thing is, you brought up the NASA guy.
Okuda.
I don't remember the person's name, and I wouldn't tell it if I did. It was part of my job. I had to interview someone. They were one of the chief scientists of the military at the time, top men. And when I walked into their office,
Does that mean you were the bottom?
The power bottom.
well,
Hey,
but
that's capable of generating.
a
He was the one who
tremendous
did
amount of
questions.
force. Yeah. Well, when I walked into this person's office, they had a big office, coffee table, chairs, things like that, not just a little cubicle. And the book that they had on their coffee table was, and I don't know who wrote it, I could look it up, but I'm not going to, was called The Science of Star Trek. And this was 15, 18, 20 years ago.
Probably.
And it might have been the same guy. I'll have to look to see the title. But I asked him about it, and he said, you know, some of the things that we derive in our pursuit of technology was from the imagination of these people that created these sci-fi shows. And now you look back, they're actually, Lord, 30 years ago, they say that they transported a particle of light from one side of the room to the other, or from one side of the microscope to the other. So I don't remember. I read the article in like Popular Mechanics or Popular Science or something like that. But yeah, so it may not, you know, equal. You know, Einstein says you can't travel faster than the speed of light, but almost every sci-fi show they do.
Yeah, but do you know how Star Trek does it?
Yeah.
They don't travel faster than the speed of light. Right. They move the fabric of time-space around them.
Yeah.
It's like Kunk on Earth. You spin the wheel and it turns the Earth.
There you go. Well, now that's a good segue, because in Superman, the movie, the motion picture, right?
And he flies.
And what does he do?
Backwards.
He turns the Earth backwards, and somehow that turns back time. Sorry, Cher. It turns back time. He found a way to
that's why I hate that movie.
Bring her back to life and all, and reverse the avalanche and all that stuff, the earthquake. That really would just...
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
I agree. That was not plausible.
That would have been one of Bill's really moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, Event Horizon, you know, he took the paper, folded it in half, punched the pencil through it, and they said, we're not moving through space, we're folding space.
Yeah.
Warp bubbles, conduits. And
So I will defend sci-fi. I love sci-fi. I love real sci-fi. When I was a kid, I read Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, Bradbury,
Verne.
The 2001: A Space Odyssey is, even though I don't have any particular favorite movie, if you ask me what's my favorite film on any given day, that will be in the top 3 every given day.
I hate that movie.
A lot of people do, but I think it's
2010.
wonderful.
Okay.
Nope, I hate that movie too.
I think 2001 being
I digress.
1969. And really, the writings leading up into it were before that. It's based on The Sentinel by Arthur C. Clarke, a short story. But anyway, it's really good. But it's abstract. It doesn't. It posits all kinds of technology and stuff that doesn't exist, but it's plausible. It could be.
We could
the
worship
case.
a Model T Ford.
Absolutely.
Golden.
Anyway.
And by the way, a couple of things about what you said, if you don't mind.
Well, you're next, so you're using your own time.
Okay, fine. Ready, go.
I yield to my esteemed
one
colleague from across the bar.
One of the great dark comedies. I'm not sure that you mentioned it, because at one point when we were talking about dark comedies, we got dark about dark comedies. Is Dr. Strangelove? And
Yeah, he did.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
Peter Sellers has one
Oh,
of the
yes.
great.
I
Well,
forgot
he
Peter
has,
Sellers
he has a
was in that,
couple
by the way. Yeah,
of
2
the
roles.
great roles.
3 roles.
Because he's all over that movie, and and it's pretty amazing. By the way,
Also a great Depeche Mode song.
there you go. the book The Science of Star Trek was written by a guy named Mark Brake, who also wrote The Science of Star Wars. But the physics of Star Trek is written by an American theoretical physicist named Lawrence Krauss, along with a little-known guy named Stephen Hawking.
Never heard of him.
Yeah,
I met him.
Yeah, so that may very well
had a
have
beer
been
with him.
the book.
Sure you
on
did,
the
Sheldon.
desk.
I did. In
It's
Amsterdam.
hard to say,
Or
but just
Utrecht.
and I'm not saying that the Mark Brake book isn't great. I haven't read it, but if Krauss and Hawking are writing about physics, then maybe that's what the military is looking at. Quite possibly.
I didn't say military. Did I say military?
you didn't
I
say
didn't
I
hear
don't know
you
what you're
say-
talking
I'm
about.
sorry.
This is not Minecraft.
No.
Sorry.
It is definitely not.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me. After
Let me
that,
know if you want to hear my story about meeting Stephen Hawking.
I have.
Later.
Later. Yeah, depends on how we end up on time.
Okay.
If you guys want to hear about his
Hey,
story about
I'm-
meeting Stephen Hawking, put it in the comments.
I'm sure I'll
There
be
you go.
alive next week to tell it.
And the quintessential
I wouldn't bet on
We
it.
can just punt that one.
about 60% of 2001: A Space Odyssey I really enjoy, and about 40% I'm like.
Let me guess, the last
Yeah,
40%.
okay, but for those of you who aren't big 2001 fans of the movie, it's not that the effort isn't there. It's not that the story and the novella it's based on isn't great, of course.
Yeah.
But the quintessential take on what's wrong with 2001: Space Odyssey is, in my opinion, is written by Harlan Ellison, who was a great writer, sci-fi stuff, wrote sci-fi things and fantasy things. And he had a series of criticism called Harlan Ellison's Watching. And he gives his critique of 2001: A Space Odyssey in the writing while eating a bowl of matzo ball soup with salminio and
Salminio was everywhere back then.
explaining to Rob Reiner what he doesn't get. That's
multitasking, kids.
That is how the essay is couched. It is fantastic writing, and it's pretty. And dude was a smart fellow. Pretty good insight. So, is it my turn?
It is your turn.
Oh dear. Okay. So, my favorite.
What do you know about film?
I don't know. I don't know a damn thing. My favorite genre is thrillers. And the nice thing is thrillers can come in a bunch of stripes. But I really like the.
It's Basic Instinct, isn't it?
Well-
What's your favorite?
Well, it's definitely thrilling.
Wait, what's your favorite time code spot to pause?
Well, I see. Because I have a little ability at and I was an analog guy when I went to film school. But because I have a little ability,
Wait,
at
you went to
editing,
film school?
I don't have to pause anymore. I just have everything I want to see all cut together. So you watch
These
this.
screenshots.
You watch this 90 minutes. You watch this 20 minutes. That's what you do.
The Phantom Edit.
As far as you know, right? No.
Yeah, you had to get a new TV. The image was etched onto
No,
the
no,
screen.
no,
You
no.
gotta-
Wait.
Well, that's why he still has a Laserdisc player, because Laserdisc allows you to freeze frame by frame.
Hold on, guys. I need a little clarification here from Dr. Paul.
Yes.
So you're saying doctors have to go to film school now?
No. Me. I don't. Maybe. I don't. I'm not sure.
But you did.
My degree. Yes, my degree isn't complete. But yeah. Yeah. I went to. I went to film school, and then I went to get my doctorate, which means I probably don't know anything about anything. I just know a little bit about some things.
But you know how to talk about it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's-
then get on with it.
I'm glad it's not me.
Oh, it
that was
was.
fabulous.
It was.
So that's really my favorite, and I really do like sci-fi for a bunch of reasons, including that not only can it be fun and interesting, but it's maybe the number one place where you can posit something that could happen in the future, right? Based on what we know, and I'm with UPC on the idea that I don't mind if they're extrapolating, but what I'd really prefer is that something odd and magical and impossible isn't going on. They're saying, well, we can do this now, we might be able to do this later, we're going to assume we can, but you can envision futures that might be problematic. And so now, in anytime you can be one step removed from, in a cautionary tale, then you can say, well, maybe we should look out for this, right? It's if you go all the way back to Metropolis, that's what's happening with Metropolis. What if we get to this point? And there are many movies like that, and that's what's great is you get to watch it and go, wow, that would be bad. Well, this is a metaphor. Same thing, lots of great metaphors from Blade Runner to just all kinds of wonderful things about sci-fi. And ironically, my least favorite genre writ large. It isn't. I have some romantic comedies that I really like, but it's generally my least favorite. I'm stealing a little bit from Bill because if I watch a really bad romantic comedy, then I'm scared and I have nightmares. Yeah, so it's like, no.
Wait,
No,
is that because you know that thousands of women are watching this same thing and they're getting these weird ideas about how real
just-
life romance should
No,
work?
he's only worried about one of them watching and getting crazy ideas
Yeah.
about how romance should work.
No, and to me, it's not the utter implausibility of two incredibly attractive people finding each other. It's the utter implausibility of them not finding each other and going off into the sunset in the first 12 minutes of the movie.
Right.
How does this not happen?
Yeah.
What is it? Amy?
Really-
Rachel
I gotta go
McAdams
through-
and Ryan Gosling. What are you gonna miss?
Yeah.
Just get in a car and drive away. It doesn't matter. I don't want to watch this for 2 hours. I know what's gonna happen. It's ridiculous.
Well, why not in the first 12 minutes go, oh, I misunderstood what you said. You said this. Yeah.
you
Problem solved.
Oh, you're destroying every
It's like
sitcom
every
ever.
Three's
I
Company
know.
Every Three's Company episode would end before the first commercial break if there were just communication.
Yeah.
No, it's really, but I
That's-
really
I hate it.
But
No, that's my wife's. That's her thing. Is why didn't they just talk?
there you go. Right. Just,
We'd be done. And I always tell her it was
Honestly,
'cause-
if it only lasted
'cause-
12 minutes, that's just porn.
and
You
apparently,
know that porn
And
actually is
apparently
longer than 12 minutes?
and apparently not very good porn.
You never gotten, you never gotten farther?
Oh dear. Oh goodness. But that's the and there are lots of other kinds of movies that I like, but those are my favorite things, and I
At least.
I like dystopian movies, but
Oh yeah.
but usually ones that aren't a sci-fi disaster. Usually ones that seem to be sort of current time. Something gets screwed up. The Road Warrior is probably still my favorite dystopian. Children of Men
Shoes rolling
is
down
amazing.
the street.
Yeah,
Duck Soup is a dystopian
Well,
comedy.
in case none of you have checked out Train to Busan,
oh my gosh,
Korean zombie flick.
amazing!
Holy crap, it's
Amazing.
incredible.
It is really.
The wife and I might be currently hooked on Korean zombie TV shows and movies and the
What
Kingdom.
was that other one? The Kingdom. Yeah,
Oh,
wow.
so good.
Instead of popcorn, you're just
So
on the
good.
couch eating brains.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Cauliflower. But
so
yeah.
but I think that
I've heard of both.
and
Zero calories.
I think that, and I certainly have a lot to say about a lot, but I think that does it. That does it for my. This is my fave turn.
Perfect. All right, so we're gonna go with Ferg next. Ferg, what's your fave?
Well, so the real reason why I'm going last is, I don't know if you can tell, but I had threatened to talk about porn.
We kind of knew that.
But as we've just discovered, I realized, it lasts more than 12 minutes. And I feel like that's not really it.
Obviously, you haven't been watching it all the way.
Exactly. So I'm going to forego that.
Not quite the expertise you thought you had.
My money is on Ken Burns baseball.
Excellent movie. I do love documentaries. In fact, I love all movies, all forms.
That
And,
hasn't
well,
even been brought up.
except for rom-coms. But I'm going to go with comedy as being my favorite genre. I mean, because there's never a good time to not laugh.
You've never been sitting there going, you know what? I really just don't want to laugh.
Exactly. I mean, I can be flipping through, whichever streaming service I'm using, and go, yeah, it's a great movie, but I don't want to watch a scary movie right now.
Yeah.
Or that one, okay, we mentioned gangster movies, and the Godfather movies are amazing, but I don't want to sit there for 3 hours sometimes.
Right.
So there's there's times and places when I don't want to watch other movies, but then I come across comedies. I'm like, dude, yeah, awesome. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
You offer friendship, but you don't ask with respect.
Well, right. Well,
So you just turn to WGN and watch Blues Brothers, which happens to be on every single time on WGN.
Yes.
well, yes, and a great movie, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know, like I'll watch everything else, but that's the one that I always end up watching because other than rom-coms, because
Yeah, you're just not.
well,
Just not
I'm
gonna watch.
I'm also I'm single, so I don't have to
Sure.
watch.
Sure you are.
Yeah.
I've heard it both
No,
ways.
no one's holding your feet to the fire on that. fucking
Well,
movie.
exactly.
Your daughter says different.
Oh, my fake
Does
daughter.
not like your her stepmother.
Oh, you mean my fake wife?
Yes.
Yeah, that
Oh.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, comedies are always they're just fun. Like, I mean, I like superhero movies. I like scary movies. I like thrillers. I like just dramatic stuff. But I mean, like we've basically mentioned all the best comedies out there.
Oh wait, we haven't mentioned one.
Oh, Spinal Tap.
Oh wait. Ferg, do you mind if I go to the restroom?
Go ahead, Rupert.
Thank you.
Dirty Rotten Scout. Exactly. I mean, it's
Yeah.
such a great Ruprecht. Okay, sorry, I mispronounced it.
It's okay.
But yes.
I put the wrong
That's good.
emphasis on the wrong
And
syllable.
I love Christopher Guest movies. Those are great, but they're like mockumentaries.
Right.
Really.
Yes.
But that's still
Fashion
kind
show.
of. I think that's part of a dark
Yeah.
comedy
And-
style.
Oh,
It's just a
And
subgenre. of
but
dark comedy.
if I had to narrow it down from comedies, I think like action comedies are probably
like the other guys.
that's
fun.
48 hours.
Yeah,
It's fun.
like 48 hours.
40 hours, Beverly Hills Cop.
Lethal
yeah.
Weapon,
Right.
Bird on a Wire,
Yeah.
Tango and Cash.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch those.
Cobra.
Which was supposed to be funny, but it was. you know?
Yes,
Sorry, Sly.
Serpico.
Right.
Fucking hilarious. Had me rolling around.
But then I just love like really, really bad movies that are just so bad that you just laugh at. They're actually good.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
every now and then I'll turn it on the Sci-Fi Channel.
What was
and I'll have something like Sharktopus versus
No, that's the porn channel again.
right. Sorry.
That's your Japanese porn feed.
Oh my god.
What was that? What was that?
But
What was
it's-
that movie? Kung Fury.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have
It was
5
like
letters.
Sharktopus versus
Five
like,
characters.
You mean
Sharknado.
the one that made us late starting?
Yeah, don't mess with the
It's
Hoff.
half pterodactyl, half barracuda.
I have
this is-
5 characters for you.
Okay.
MST3K.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Every movie that's on there is not a movie I would want to watch,
Right.
except for the fact that it's so bad,
right.
and I enjoy the.
But like
the,
if I
the
didn't
The
say
commentary.
Yeah.
if it's a well, but
The
yeah.
color commentary.
Yeah.
So
But I'll love to just make fun of it as I'm watching it. Just go,
Yeah.
it's, I'm doing my own,
But
Your
I-
Statler and Waldorf in
well,
your own house.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't have an audience, so.
I would agree
Which is
with
good since you're not wearing pants.
the reason.
Ever, not in the house.
The reason for watching comedy is you can put it on, and in a sense, it's almost at times it's in the background. I mean, if you miss something, it's like taking a nap during golf on Sunday afternoon or NASCAR. They're still turning left, 2 hours later. Now you see that, boy, Bobby, the way that man turns his steering wheel to the left. No, that's an athlete, Bobby. But but the one.
By the
type
way,
of-
that was Bill. That was not sampled.
No.
We don't owe Mike Judge a dime.
no.
But
Mike Judge is applauding.
Yeah, I hope so. The one type of comedy that I struggle with is, and I even struggle with saying it, is self-deprecating humor. I struggle watching it. I have to get up sometimes.
I will just say,
and
I
leave.
love movies that like make me laugh so hard I shit myself.
So
Yeah.
you love self-defecation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
No, but comedies.
And you know what?
Bill.
If you were watching porn to minute 20, you would get to see that.
No, he doesn't
German.
He doesn't watch German porn.
No, it's just comedy that makes that self-deprecating
Kimmel.
comedy just makes me so uncomfortable sometimes. I have to actually literally get up and go in the other room because the person is humiliating themselves so much. And
Agreed.
maybe it's because I can relate to it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I also find it frustrating. I think Ben Stiller's funny. I liked his show that was on a long time ago. But but so many Ben Stiller movies, he seems like the only sane person in the room, and they keep dumping cow dung on top of him.
Well,
and I'm
yeah.
like, when's this gonna stop? And I'm
The-
just not like, oh, look
The
at that. I
exception,
hope
the
it's funny.
exception, of course, being Dodgeball.
No, but there are good ones, right? And
Oh
that
no,
one's-
I love Zoolander. No one else does.
I'm not a fan, but that's
I own
personal-
it on DVD. I like it so much. I did not like the second one as much, but
but I also I do
bought-
love raunchy like dick and fart joke movies. I mean, like I said earlier, that's basically
Low-hanging fruit.
right. But like, okay, and it's a TV show, but not not a movie. But South Park, it's all dick and fart jokes.
no, South Park has
but
an
but
intellectual
it,
level.
but it's
running
social
through
commentary is so right
It
spot
is
on.
very smart running through the.
It's right, but it's shrouded in dick and fart jokes.
And Family Guy, same thing.
Exactly.
Something occurs to me. It's a little off the beaten path here, but you remember the readers when you were in like first and second grade? That was like Dick and Jane.
Yep.
Do you think we could get more kids to start reading earlier if they were Dick and Fart books?
Yes. Yes.
Just
Isn't that
it's just-
Goofus and Gallant?
that would.
No, I mean right in the classroom.
You-
Boys and
Highlights
girls,
to the children.
boys and girls, get out your Dick and Fart books.
Hey, I think
No,
you
you'd
just solved
lose them
the-
at that point.
All right.
Third graders would be just giggling the whole
If
class.
you're in Florida, you
And I'll be
can't
cool.
No,
Okay,
but
but
they
then
would be
again,
reading
it.
it.
It could be Fart and Jane. No problem.
Look,
No, it's
I'm
Queef
just,
and
I'm just
Jane.
saying. I think you just took up the mantle from Nancy Reagan and solved the illiteracy problem in America.
There we go. There we go. I can just see the character.
Just say no. I don't
The
want to read that.
shmoo. Is the shmoo is the visual representation.
Oh, good Lord.
Now, I don't know where we're actually heading completely next in this discussion, but the one thing I have explained to Heidi quite a few times is like what was the movie Marley and Me, or Heidi will want me to watch a TV show and she's like, "Oh, Bill, watch this with me. It's so good. It's so real. It's about this woman and she had breast cancer and she did this and their house caught on fire and this and they broke up and this," and I'm like, "No." I've lived that. Why do I want to watch a movie? No offense, I'm sure it was a great movie, but why would I watch a movie? What do you need, Larry?
Any one of those?
Oh,
any one of those
pamphlets.
flyers?
Thank
He's
you.
having an epilepsy-related fit of
Yeah,
some kind.
yeah. Well, but in other words, the reason I like sci-fi, the reason that I watch sci-fi is I'm never going to get to fly the Millennium Falcon. I'm never going to be on is it the Millennium Falcon? I'm a Star Trek guy.
Bill, don't give up on your dreams.
Anyway, yes.
I'm never
it's the
going to be
Millennium
on the
Falcon.
Enterprise. I'm never going to go through a transporter. I want to watch things that other people are doing that make me go, "Oh, that would be awesome to do." Not, "Hey, you remember when we buried our dog Brady 2 years ago? Let's go watch a movie just like that."
So you want escapism and not
escapism,
realism.
yeah.
And that's what
Suspense.
we've talked about this in the past.
And
Suspense
what is
differ on that.
what is the purpose
Disbelief.
of movies? Amusement. And what does it mean when you put the letter A in front of muse? Don't think. Non-thinking. Muse means to think. Amuse. You go to an amusement park to be amused. I don't have to
Your
think.
morphological analysis is spot on.
I don't know what he just said.
As someone with a linguistics degree,
I saw Mighty
agree
Morphin Power Rangers. They were
But
okay.
I don't know what he said either, but congratulations.
But I disagree with you on that, and we've disagreed about this previously.
Yeah,
but it's-
get out of my
it's-
house. You heard what happened to the last two UPCs. No, look, UPC,
But it's-
and I said that right,
I was
right?
going to bring up.
Oops.
I was going to bring up something you said earlier.
Real quick,
Yeah.
on that, I'm not saying that there's never a time. I love documentaries. I enjoy documentaries. I enjoy sand pebbles. I enjoy, and at a certain age you start watching Turner Classic Movies. And I have seen more good films in the last 5, 6, 7 years because I watch Turner Classic Movies. And yes, there are times where I do want to have to think but I don't want to, and maybe it'll be a documentary about, say, breast cancer, but I don't want to relive the emotion of what we went through during that time. Maybe that's a better way to explain it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it does. But you don't. See, I'm with you. Emotional movies are different than a movie that seems to want to rip my heart out for no good reason. It's entirely different to say, look, the last 4 seasons of the Waltons was like disease of the week. But the first 3 seasons of the Waltons were, here are people living at a time, they got a big family, they're trying to do the right thing, they're trying to live decent, and times were tougher. Okay, that might have some interesting stories. As opposed to, why am I tuning in to watch something that's tragic for the sake of the story about this being tragic? Now, I guess if you can't relate or you never experienced it, maybe it tunes you in. But the other interesting thing that you're saying is, Bill, is that you? The other interesting thing the other thing is
Just letting off a
Mike
little
Cork.
gas.
That was Mike Cork.
Bill's
He's
making
letting off a
himself
little gas over there.
a fine bourbon and Coke. The thing that also that I think about is, and I'm going with averages here. On average, I think women tend to be a little bit more in touch with their emotions, a little bit more comfortable
I
with
hate it when you say that.
a little bit more comfortable with if they see something that they feel emotional about, being emotional about it. Yet, when it comes to movies that you know are going to tug on or rip out your heartstrings, for some reason women tend to flock to those more than men. And so I don't think men have the same men don't have the same cathartic experience with that kind of emotional pull. There are different kind of emotional pulls that men but don't mind as much, or can take, or think maybe this matters to me. But I think it's more of a this matters to me, and that's how you bring them in. That's my
Go ahead.
humble
UPC, I
opinion.
interrupted you.
So, gosh, there's so many topics being bandied about right now. But Paul, I've
Bantied.
I-
Big words again.
bandied about.
He
Bandied.
does have a degree in linguistics.
Yeah. So, I agree with you. Women tend to seek that stuff out, but men can and do seek that stuff out. Raise your hand. The Yearling or Old Yeller.
Oh, I've seen
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Raise your hand. The Van Gogh episode of Doctor Who.
Raise your
I-
hand. Pink Floyd, The Wall. That is a cathartic experience
Oh, yeah.
100%.
entirely.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a different.
But
it's
again-
a different
But again, it's
mechanism.
escapism.
It's a different mechanism.
Correct. I'm with you. all the
I
way.
didn't go through.
But the self-defecating humor that Bill was talking about, this is where it gets into, and this is
Degree in linguistics.
there's a genre that's relatively new, and it's television, and we're getting a little
That's fine.
sidetracked, but it's television,
They have
primarily.
movies on TV.
Yeah. Well, especially the Netflix
On a very
model
special after
of
school.
of a 10-hour, the Netflix model of a 10-hour movie, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's very British centric, and it's called the Sadcom. So Ricky Gervais did that after The Office. So you see Extras, Derek, Afterlife. Those are Sadcoms. You've also got the original. What's the
Brady Bunch.
no?
Office.
They redid it with William H. Macy in America, but it's
Cooler?
Shameless.
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 Oh, Shameless.
the UK Shameless is absolutely a
shameless.
sadcom. It is self-defecating. It is there is no redeeming character whatsoever. Every single person is a piece of shit.
So it's like Sunny.
Sunny?
Yeah, it's always sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah. It's Always Sunny is kind of like that too, but it's a little more. It's not sad. It's not like
Oh no, it's not sad.
life decisions. Every episode they start over again.
Yeah, they're living their best life. It's just wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas UK Shameless is completely like in sequence. Everything that happened before affects what's happening in this episode. Kind of a soap opera in a way, but it's not nearly that horrible.
But
yes.
I did just realize I did not mention my least favorite.
Oh, please.
Driver's educational.
Oh, blood on the highway?
Blood on the highway.
Hey, my wife and I.
I thought that was porn.
My wife and I were in the car
Wow.
the other day. We're behind this
That's
truck.
not the highway.
We're behind this minivan that has a ton of fence posts, metal poles.
Like chain link fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tie strapped to the roof.
Oh my
We're
God.
parked right behind him. And she just looks at me and goes, God, I hate that movie. I hate that movie.
Yeah.
There was a Lethal Weapon movie, wasn't it?
No.
Final Destination.
Final
But I think there was also a Lethal
But-
Weapon 3 or something where a fence post went
Now,
into...
this is where
Oh,
these,
no,
these,
this was a logging truck.
these kids avoided death on a plane because one of them had a premonition, and then they all get killed off because that's how death works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she
Yeah,
like,
I'm not pulling up behind a
she was
logging
like,
truck.
and then she was like, is it odd that I would feel safer behind a logging truck than I am behind a minivan with a bunch of metal poles tie strapped to the roof?
Yes.
And I was like, no.
The logging truck is a professional.
Yeah, well, not only that, the logs are really heavy.
Yeah.
And
They ain't
it
moving.
a lot of
takes-
static
yeah.
friction.
Yeah.
But the logging truck's kind of a B-17 bomber, and the minivan is kind of an Apache attack helicopter.
Yeah.
Where those things can just start
But
firing
also,
right at you.
the minivan is driven by somebody who lives in a trailer.
I used to drive a minivan.
And
By
you
the
still
way,
live in a trailer.
Holes on it.
By the way,
For a
we
chain
haven't
link
had
fence?
we haven't had a
Who
dad
puts up a
joke.
chain link fence
Okay.
anymore?
Do you know what a tornado and a divorce in West Virginia have in common?
No, what?
Someone's losing a trailer.
Someone's losing a trailer. But going back to this whole,
We gotta get to the picture.
Oh, the golf clap.
That was outstanding.
All right, where's
Thank you very much.
so
Where's
going back
Jim
to
Lampley
this
when we need him?
thing of amusement and escapism and all this, I had another, and what is it with these guys with PhDs? Because one of my friends who has a
I don't know.
PhD,
No one here has a PhD.
college professor, said to me, we were talking about this same topic, this is 25 years ago,
Okay.
and I made the comment.
get over it, Bill.
I know. I made the comment of this same topic basically, and he looked at me and he said, and it was a put down, but he said, a simple mind requires a happy ending. And we've talked about this before.
Yep.
You and I have talked about it, Paul.
Incorrect.
I
Yep,
agree.
True.
No, I agree with I understand what he was saying. Take a movie and a remake. Get Carter. Michael Caine. Why do we
Michael
fall
Caine.
down, sir?
The pits.
Michael Caine. I'm Michael Caine.
Are we doing the trip?
And then Sylvester Stallone. Michael Caine. And at the end of Get Carter with Sylvester Stallone, he kills the bad guy and walks off. Michael Caine gets shot on a cold beach. And it's not a happy ending. I enjoyed the Michael Caine movie better.
If
And
anyone's wondering, Bill is available for voiceover work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Simple Minds, good band.
Contact us at themenartalking@gmail.com.
Don't you forget about Bill.
Can I?
Yes, sir.
Can I give a very brief take on the happy ending thing?
All right, then we're going to need to wrap up.
You got it. So my very brief take is, let's go back to a mental midget Aristotle, way back when. Okay, what Aristotle did in the Poetics wasn't to say this is what you should do. in order to write drama and stories. What he said is, I'm looking at all of these dramatists and people that are writing stories, and I'm looking for patterns on why the good ones work the way they work, and here's what it is. And one of the things he says in the Poetics is, what we do is we tell stories that reflect what we see, but we also tell stories that encourage us to aspire to what we think would be the good thing. So, does the good guy always win? Hell no. Does the good guy get the pretty girl always? Hell no.
Sometimes she's his sister.
Well, is this another West Virginia story?
No, Star Wars.
Oh, sorry. Okay, there you go. Good point. Okay, so oh God, I'm going to hell. So, but the idea isn't that now. Of course, Hollywood will have an ending and they'll show a test audience, and the audience will say no, they need to get together, which is what happened with Pretty Woman very famously. They don't get together. They show the test audiences like they have to get together. They reshot the ending. Okay, but the idea isn't to say all things will end this way. The idea is to say, if you fight the good fight, if you sacrifice the right way, if you're trying to do the good thing, then you're reaching for the brass ring, and sometimes you will get it, and sometimes you'll get part of it, and sometimes you'll lose part of yourself getting there. But that's the whole idea.
But okay, when you talk about, like, sometimes the bad guy wins, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. But let's take a movie which won Best Oscar, and the Oscar for Best Picture.
Sure.
No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Okay, the good
Hilarious
guy,
movie,
good guy,
by the way.
dies at the end, and the bad
Seriously.
guy, gets his,
Right.
My only issue with it, though, is they never had any actual conflict together. Like they one didn't outdo the other. But like there was no climax to the movie. It just kind of ended.
We're not talking about porn.
Oh, good Lord.
You didn't make it more than 12 minutes into that movie, didn't you?
Yeah, unfortunately I did, because it pissed me off that I ended up watching. Like, they didn't have the battle at the end, and like nobody really won. I mean, yeah, he gets killed off screen, and the other guy just killed him. And what's his face walks away. He goes, okay, well, cool.
I hear you. No, I'm with you, and it's
How about like one Best Picture? I don't know.
Okay, I got you, and it's a pretty well done movie, and it's what's his name?
Yeah.
It's based on a book. Good writer, but it's hard to do it in the movie. But part of the idea is, yes, they're separated. They never meet, right? The only time that I can't remember his name, but the sheriff, the Tommy Lee Jones character, gets close to him is after the fact, right? Is after the God, no names. Right, he's killed, right? He's already killed at the hotel, and that's where he arrives. But part of the idea is, and I think they could have done this better, but there's so much that's already good in the movie, is there's this force that is driving through things, and it seems to almost have no name, it seems to have no moral compass, and the older force that's trying to keep things together doesn't know how to deal with it. And that's the bit, and it's just, I can't remember the author's name. And so do they do a fantastic job of really focusing on that? Not really. And so I'm with you. So the ending feels a little like, huh? So I know where you're coming from.
So,
Yes.
like I said, it's time to wrap things up.
Okay.
So we're done talking about movies, except for me, who's going to say that even though it wasn't one of my picks, as genre goes, favorite movie ever, which I have owned on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and digital, is Last of the Mohicans with Daniel Day-Lewis. I love that movie. I can watch it anytime. It's probably my favorite movie ever.
One of these days, you and
Other
I are gonna
than
have
Empire
serious
Strikes Back.
disagreement.
But no, I said we're done. I'm getting the
I
last
don't
word.
care. I just want to say I'm glad that nobody here brought up anime, because fuck that shit.
Oh, I love anime. I love
Alright,
anime.
We had to get an F-bomb in.
We just
I love
lost 2
anime.
listeners. We
No, we
like an
didn't.
international audience.
No, we didn't lose
already
any.
talked about porn.
We didn't lose anybody because I love anime.
Okay, no, you're
Because
right.
we can always edit that.
I made Bill watch Attack on Titan, and he was like, Fuck you, Larry.
and
I
the
can't believe you made me watch
Right, and
this
the other
because
shit-
he couldn't stop watching it.
Right, and the other saving grace is UPC is going to be dead next week anyway. I'm feeling
You are goddamn right, he is. All right,
So we forget about the whodunit?
so
Oh, we know who done it.
yeah, but the police don't. That's the important part. So
This
to
is
wrap
now a
things
true
up,
crime podcast. We're going to get a bunch of female listeners after this.
so to wrap things up, I'm gonna give it to Bill to give us a update on the thing he's working on. Bill.
Okay, you want to hear my story?
No, I want to hear.
All right.
Your project.
Just want to give a little plug for the Epilepsy Alliance of Florida. This in May 6th in Pensacola, they're having a function down at Seville Square. They're having one in Ocala April 29th and in Miami on April 22nd. And it's for a great cause. It's very near and dear to my heart, epilepsy. I was going to make some jokes, but I'm just going to get right to
Would
it.
it be nearer to your brain?
No, not my brain, not my brain. But anyway, somebody very special to me has epilepsy. www.walkthetalkfl.org or giving at eafla.org. I'm sure you could just Google Epilepsy Alliance of Florida if you're local and you want to join a team and come support us and do the walk downtown Saturday, May the 6th. I think the event in Seville Square is from 4 to 8. The name of our team is called Seize the Day. And
fantastic.
if you want, you can go on and donate. This is an organization that helps people with epilepsy, which is the state of Florida has more people with epilepsy in it percentage-wise than any other state in the union. So we'd really like your help. This organization helps both adolescents, children, and adults, and a vast 88%, 88 cents of every dollar goes to the client, not to line somebody's pocket that's pretending they're
Really high
doing a
percentage.
fundraiser.
Yeah, really
and that's huge.
So not going into Susan Komen's pocket?
I'm not going there. I don't defamation, but www.walkthetalkfl.org or giving at
you'll be dead
eafla.org. And our team name, if you want to
I am now.
support us or join us, is Seize the Day. And I'll hand it back to Larry. Thank you.
Well, guys, once again, thank you all for showing up, for kicking in the smart conversations with the
Smart.
with Dr. Ferg
Oh,
Smart ass.
and our resident linguist.
Cunning linguist.
it was just hanging there. And just
It was on the tip of your tongue.
And we're back to porn. All right. Thanks, guys. I hope you'll join us next week